All right, guys, the Great Reset is officially here. It's officially here. Just came down a few minutes ago. I was actually streaming on Twitch. Had to jump off stream real quick to go make this video because this is not something that you just sit on. This is not something that you just let sit for a few hours and let people talk about it and try to lump it in with some other bits of Seahawks news. No, this is the big one. And look, I definitely talked about this as becoming a stronger and more distinct possibility after DK Metcalf requested a trade. Still wasn't sure it was going to happen, and I'm really surprised that it happened first. But we basically been informed on everything we need to be informed on regarding the Seahawks for 2025, as far as I'm concerned. So, per Ian Rappaport and other sources, the Seattle Seahawks have traded quarterback Geno Smith to the Raiders, reuniting him with his coach, Pete Carroll. So Geno Smith goes to the Raiders. The Seahawks get a third-round pick and a pretty significant amount of cap space cleared up. I can't remember exactly how much. It's in the realm of like 25 to 30 million, maybe a little bit even more than that. But we'll digest the exact figures in the coming days here. But yeah, we are hitting the big old reset button. I find it impossible now to believe anything other than DK being traded. I assume that will come in the next few days, honestly. And I definitely have mixed thoughts here. I definitely have some mixed thoughts here. On the one hand, if DK is going to get traded, I think that this is probably the right thing to do, just because competing in 2025 got a little bit harder with that occurrence. So why not just say we're not even going to really go for it in 2025? I get that. The trade compensation, I'm kind of whatever on. It's a good third round pick, right? Because it's high in the third round. It's a top 70 pick. I was hoping maybe you could squeeze a little bit more out of it because we're talking about Pete Carroll, who is probably desperate to get a competent quarterback, and Geno's his guy, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was hoping maybe you could really squeeze there, but he is an older quarterback, and he is in the last year of his deal. He's going to need to get paid now. Some people are speculating that maybe Geno Smith was asking for more money than the Seahawks were willing to give. It does seem like I don't know if it's part of some grand strategy or it's just John Schneider being really, really tight-fisted about stuff. But it does seem like he's just trying to squeeze everybody. It does seem like he's just trying to be super cheap everywhere. Maybe that's just his way of saying, I don't really want you guys that much, or it's his way of saying that I don't think you're worth as much as you think, and I'm not willing to negotiate on that. I don't know. But it seems like he tried to lowball DK. Maybe he tried to lowball Geno as well. I don't know. But third round pick is okay. So that part of it, all right, I get it. If you want to take a step back, you want to take a step back. But here's the thing. You now need to take a step back because I've already seen a few people, and it's mostly just speculation, but it's also some source-based takes that the Seahawks are now expected to be one of the clubhouse leaders in on Sam Darnold. I'm going to say it right now. If we sign Sam Darnold, I want everybody fired immediately. If we give 150, 160, or whatever it's going to take to get Sam Darnold, get everybody out of the building immediately. Like, purge everything if that is the way the Seahawks want to play this. Just going from one attempt to go for it in 2025 to a completely different one that is actually going to be more expensive and more cost prohibitive. So, first of all, we better not do that. And, I mean, bottom line is this. If the Seahawks go for it in any measurable way over the next few weeks in free agency, I'm not going to be happy now. To me, if you were going to go for it, you needed to keep the pieces that you had that were good and just try to fix the things that weren't right. But this should be a blow up now. And I don't say that lightly. I want to be clear about that. I am not one of these goobers who's out there saying like, oh, the Seahawks should just tank the next 4 seasons, man. They should just win 2-5. They should just go 2-15 for 4 straight seasons. There are people out there say things like that. I got no respect for those people, and I will never be the guy who thinks things like that. because I understand the human cost of doing something like that. But now what you need to do is understand that you are aiming for 2026 and 2027. That's what I'm going to say about that. And I will say this does, in hindsight, make that Leonard Williams restructure look extremely stupid. Fortunately, there are ways to kind of paint over that and make it not that big of a deal. But I don't think you do that if you are actually thinking about then doing this. But whatever, that's up for debate. I know Hawk's Nest has a different perspective on that. I still think that that kind of proves they were thinking about going for it, and then they changed their mind. Never mind the fact that they committed a lot of money to supposedly competing in 2025. And again, I just don't think you do that if you're then going to do this. They're two contradictory moves to me. But you have that. There is definitely a part of me that isn't thrilled right now, more in a big picture sense than a little picture sense, because with the last few days, this makes sense. I hate to say it, but if DK is going to ask out to the extent that you feel like you are going to trade him, and you've also got this Ernest Jones thing going on. I don't know what's going on with Ernest Jones, but he hasn't been re-signed yet. This is probably the right thing to do. But big picture-wise, I'm pretty unhappy with the way this whole thing turned out. The Seattle Seahawks fell backwards into a very good quarterback. Like, by accident, they discovered a very good quarterback. By accident. And they did nothing with him. They found plutonium by accident and then just used it as a paperweight. Like, that bothers me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. And look, maybe the person responsible for that was Pete Carroll, and that's why he got fired, but John Schneider had something to do with it, and he's still here. That bugs me a little bit. It also, I mean, like I said, I think Geno Smith is a very, very good quarterback. Maybe he's not quite great, but he's really, really good. It's not easy to find a quarterback as good as Geno Smith. So trading him for a decent day two pick is still something that I'm going to look at as a Seahawks fan and go like, it's not going to be easy to replace him. It's not necessarily going to be easy to find somebody who can replace what Geno Smith was doing for this team. So, mixed thoughts. I got mixed thoughts today. I think it is the right thing to do at this point, but it frustrates me that we got to this point. We don't get to this point if we don't make so many mistakes over the last several years. And some of it predated Geno, right? Drafting Dwayne Eskridge, drafting LJ Collier, drafting Malik McDowell, drafting to a certain extent Rashad Penny and Jordan Brooks. You know, to a certain extent, these moves were they were before Geno, but they're part of the reason why we're here right now, why we feel like we need to do this. Assuming this is what we're doing. Assuming that taking a step back is what we're doing here, and I'm going to be on board with that. If it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. It just bums me out. It bums me out that we accidentally found a franchise quarterback and we accomplished so little with him because it took us 3 years to get the defense right and we never got the offensive line right. But so it goes. It's probably the right thing to do at this point. It's probably better than trying to mash Geno Smith and DK Metcalf into place without feeling comfortable about meeting their contract asks. I get it. I get it. But we're going to find out plenty next week. We're going to find out plenty over the next couple weeks. You better, and I mean it, you better be ready to take a step back in 2025 now. I'm not going to take this approach. I'm not going to make a video like this if the next thing that happens is that we throw $200 million at Sam Darnold, or we make some kind of, I don't even know who you could get. Like if we sign Aaron Rodgers. Well, really, even with Aaron Rodgers, it's not even about money with Aaron Rodgers. It's just about I don't want that idiot in my locker room. But point I'm making is, whatever you do, it better be cheap. It better be passive. It better be aiming for 2026. Sorry, Clint Kubiak, man. I feel for Clint Kubiak right now. I'm sorry, man. I don't think he would have considered coming here for a second if he knew this. If he knew he was going to have to work with a garbage like Sam Howell and whatever a scrap quarterback we come up with this offseason, because maybe we draft somebody. I don't really like most of the draft picks we can make that much, but We'll find out, guys. We'll find out. So Geno Smith traded to the Raiders for a third round pick. It's okay. I'm not enamored with it. It's decent compensation. It's workable compensation. I assume a Metcalf trade is to follow. If not, I'm going to be really confused. And I think we're headed towards a rough 2025. And look, again, I don't say that stuff lightly. I am not somebody out there who thinks that football is Madden, where you just hit a simulation button and in 10 minutes it's over. No, this is going to hurt. This is going to suck. This is not going to be a fun year unless we win the lottery again. We can fall backwards into another really good quarterback. We could fall backwards into a good team. But I don't think that's the plan. And at this point, I don't think it should be the plan. If it happens by accident, it happens by accident. But now we got to do things the right way. And like I've told people before, just because you do things the right way, or the right way, doesn't mean you're going to get the results. So now it's on John Schneider and Mike McDonald to flip the right levers and push the right buttons. Because if you don't use these picks right, if you don't use this cap space correctly, if you don't take things on in the right way, then we're going to have wasted a season for nothing. And that is going to make me really just want to get you guys out of the building and have your name stricken from the Seahawks history books. I'm not going to be happy with that. So I got mixed thoughts. I'm certainly more open to this now than I would have been a few days ago. If this had happened a few days ago, I would have been really sick about it. But I get it now. I get it. They're blowing up a team that won 10 games last year with a first-year head coach. It's questionable, but I don't think it's necessarily bad either. I guess we'll never trust anything that John Schneider ever says again, right? Because hard to do so now. See you guys later. Go Hawks.